Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this Saturday afternoon super fun time known as Project Cronus, and more specifically known as the Project Cronus season finale. We are here, the cast is assembled, the story is prepared. I am just simply waiting for the Cronus crew to destroy any plans that I have. You are here to bear witness to both my demise and their success. Well, we think. Let's go around and talk to everybody, and let's start in the corner with my man, Finney. Finney, how are you doing today, bud?
Well, politicians often evolve their beliefs, and I have, throughout the course of Project Cronus, been in the terrified column. And at this time, I can say we're going to stay the course, and I will remain terrified. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. It's the finale. Should be a lot of fun. Great crew to work with. So yeah, Honest Pete Abraham is here.
Fantastic. And as the honest one walks among us, let us cut directly over beside him and we will talk to Don. Don, how are you doing today? And do you have any predictions or political words of advice to navigate these treacherous waters ahead, Poseidon?
Well, I'm doing great. I'm very excited about this episode. We were talking how crazy it is that we're already at the end of the first season, but when you look back and when I think about everything that's happened, I mean, it's been a lot, in two different timelines. So I have no idea what's going to happen. I know what I want to have happen, and it involves murdering a certain German man. So that's my prediction, that I will continue to want that to happen. We'll see what actually happens.
My God, look out, Ozzy. As we go up to Kiana. Kiana, how are you doing today? And do you have any other predictions of the political nature or just veiled threats of murder?
I am excited and nervous, but what's new? What's new? Season finale of dealing with eldritch Nazi bullshit. I actually have no predictions because every time I do, they just get thrown out the window within the first half hour. So you know what? I'm just gonna keep it easy and just stay on my toes and see what even happens. Who knows? I'm excited to see though.
Fantastic. As everyone is completely confused and in many respects enraged by this finale, I feel it's only fitting that we go around to end it with Summer. Summer, how are you doing?
I'm doing really great. I am so excited. Last week, when I caught up on Athena, I was like, oh, fuck yeah, here we go. This is it. And I've just been waiting for today. I'm really, really, really excited and happy that we're here. And I can't believe we're already at the finale, but it's going to be awesome.
Now, see, there we go, everybody. We had terrified, we had murderous, we had confused and excited. I am going to take excited. Thank you, Kiana. I'm going to take excited 7 days out of the week. Love it. Let's get to this. Let's do this. And for the last time, we will have our headlines to recap last week's events. And so, last week on Project Cronus, a woman in mourning, an old Emil, Milan ahoy, House of Pilate, in state lay Peter, the wrapped man's pledge, Pete, votes for Pete, aims true. 1933, the Savannah Siren returns, True Door, formerly known as Purple. And that is all that happened on last week's Project Cronus. Currently, we have a crit count of Barney at 3, Pete at 1, May at 2, Mimi now at 2, thanks to Prax's donation from her substitution. As we get ready to go into all of this, I will remind anybody that is watching and those of you that are on YouTube, catching us live here on Twitch enables you to vote and dictate some of the terms of what's going to happen to these lovely people. Just look down if you want to give advantage or critical successes or make things worse, Lord Conti. You absolutely can at any time. So, without further ado, A season's worth of adventuring has led to this. I strive to make it worthy of the players I present it to. 1915. As the stitched together, the baby inside the wrapped man's abdomen splashes and runs, destroyed from the shots of Honest Pete Abraham. And as it drips down over thighs and knees, in your heads you hear, "The realities are separate again. The contamination has ended. Go in peace." And the wrapped man turns, lays back down onto the table of state, and as the leather straps dissolve from the frame, you see an old man lying in front of you. No tear in his abdomen, just gone. And it's at this time that Maria Stagliani comes in from the kitchen, sees what's gone on, has heard the gunshots and the commotion, sees her father lying naked and uncovered on the table, turns, and in perfect Italian she screams, "What's going on?" And while the rest of you can understand by the emotion of the words and the appearance of her father, it is only Honest Pete Abraham, who does not speak Italian, who understands the words perfectly. And Pete, as you hear those words, you know spoken in Italian, but processed by your brain as anything but, you begin to see something. You see a hallway. You see May and Barney old. You see a door frame swirling with purple. And you see yourself carrying an older version of Maxine Schmidt through this doorway. And as soon as the purple embraces you, everyone else sees Pete drop to the ground. Pete drops to the ground, and as his head begins to shake in a violent seizure, you see he's pounding the back of the boards with such might that the back of his head immediately splits and blood splashes along the hardwood as he's pounding. He is frothing at the mouth. There's blood coming from the corners as he has obviously bitten his tongue, and he is just thrashing in a frightful, terrifying, grand seizure. What are the rest of you going to do?
Barney would run over to Pete immediately and get his hand underneath the back of his head, try to keep him from hitting, something as solid as the floor, protect his head. And he doesn't have any medical experience, but he would try to basically make sure that he's not like swallowing his tongue, choking on anything, doing whatever he can to try to help him get through whatever is happening to him.
Okay, roll a strength check for me, Barney, as you get over there, and it's basically like grabbing a constricted, like a snake, as his body is just jerking with all force and promise. As soon as you grab hold of him, he slips out of your grasp and begins to just flop to the side as the rest of you see that Pete is, his body is bending and bowing. His shoulders and his chest are lifting into the air as he's just, and you just hear a continued just announcement of pain coming through the incredibly clenched jaw of Honest Pete Abraham.
Aphrodite moves quickly over, kneeling down close beside Pete. And she reaches out and puts her hands on his chest, and I'm going to try and give him some kind of peace or something to try and help him, to try and calm him down.
Okay, so a transference of the emotion of peace into the anything but Honest Pete Abraham. Go right ahead and give me one of those power checks.
For sure. Oh, hell yeah.
So as soon as the hands of and how do you describe how you do this? Do you just go over and set your hands, and where do you place them? Like, what is the process that Aphrodite does, who hasn't had that much, if any, experience in doing this, in gifting a positive emotion? It's something that she probably had never even considered, given her state of being alone and being solitary for so long. How do you do it, Summer?
I think, she came here with the one intention of saving Pete. And I think that feeling, um, it's a feeling of anxiety that she feels seeing him in a distressed state. And she kind of has to center herself. And she just places a hand like on his chest and one like lower on his stomach, and just takes a really, really deep breath and closes her eyes and tries to channel any distant memory that she has that can bring that peace to him.
Okay. And I so want to ask what the memory is. What flashes in Aphrodite's mind that is peace, that maybe is something shared between her and Pete, that she would know from these just peeks into her past that she's been given over the course of the last several days? What would Aphrodite realize would help her friend?
I think it's a memory of the two of them sitting on the porch of headquarters, and she's in a large hanging swing, reading a book. And I think he's sitting kind of across from her in one of the porch chairs. And he's got a drink in his hand and probably a cigar. And I think the two of them are just enjoying like a lovely spring day. Not necessarily talking to each other, but just kind of being in each other's presence.
Fantastic. And so, with this transference of the raw emotion of peace, and also of the memory of Aphrodite that has not yet occurred for the Pete in her arms, not only is the benefit of peace given, but there's also a benefit of something else given. As let me check and see what we have here. It looks like that we have a slew of crits coming in from the sniper of Project Athena, Dwight Burke. So everybody has crits in addition to the ones you currently have. That will take Barney to 4, Pete to 2, May to 3, and Mimi to 3. When I get a moment in the narrative, I will reflect those on the overlay. As you are all sitting there watching everything, and as Pete begins to calm, his body is still firing with these odd sparks of muscle contraction. You can actually watch as the muscles contract in waves that almost make it look like there's something beneath the skin or surface of Honest Pete Abraham, as the forearm seizes and ripples up to the bicep that seizes and ripples up to the deltoid that seizes and ripples. It's just as if these waves and these contractions of seizure and pain are working almost methodically through him. Though he has stopped crying out, you can still see the clenched jaw and the murmur and the hum of the underlying pain that he's going through. But much like a terminally wounded soldier would calm at the injection of morphine, so too has Pete Abraham calmed from the injection of peace. And let's cut to 1933. So, The first through the door was Mimi. As you enter through the portal, you arrive atop a tower on a castle in the snow. And in front of you, with the impossibility of the scene simply from a architectural standpoint, stands what you can only believe to be, much like you've just seen an old version of Barney, an old version of May, and an old version of Pete, you see an old version of Joe. As he turns, and in the wind, the hair that touches his shoulders blows around him. And with a smile that quickly drops as he sees you. And who comes through next?
It was Barney and May together.
So as Barney and May come through, Kiana and Don, you guys would see that upon who has been called Dietrich Prime, upon his face, you see that there is a look of, you know what? Roll me psychology, as you're not very familiar with the look that's on Joseph's face. Mimi, you can do this as well. Mimi, you with the least experience with any version of Joseph Dietrich, you can read this simply because of it stands out to you. You can see this as you've been able to read emotions your whole life. This man is terrified. And who's the last to come through? Honest Pete Abraham, as you would come through carrying Maxine Schmidt, as soon as you walk through the purple door, it remains a moment, and some water actually splashes out from around the floor of this door, hitting the cold stones of the castle upon which you all now stand, and the door snaps shut behind you. And for a moment, there is a vision of a man in leather straps. As he sees you all arrive, he nods and vanishes in the wind. But Joseph Dietrich in front of you immediately turns and confronts the group, a look not of thanks on his face as was his original expression. "Where are they?" And he looks at Mimi.
I'm sorry?
"Barney! Pete, where are they? May! Where are the others?"
They're right here.
And he looks at May, he looks at Barney, he looks at Pete. "Where is Aphrodite?"
Do y'all know what he's talking about?
Barney steps forward. His eyes are burning, and he's already slinging the rifle over his shoulder. He doesn't point it at Dietrich, but as he steps forward to stand beside Mimi, he says, "Don't listen to anything he says, Mimi. Dietrich's a liar. He's a monster."
This isn't how it's supposed to be. And at this point, everybody rolls spot hiddens as the scene beyond this tower top is now opening up to your senses. Mimi, as you are unsure of what the hell is going on here, you are able to look around, and in this twilight of a cold mountaintop, you have no idea where or when, you see the following. surrounding this castle, and by the commotion below this castle, forces are moving both to attack and to defend this place. But as you turn your attention to the forces that you can are easier to see, those that are approaching this castle, you see several things happen at once. There is a tall man wearing a uniform that seems to be flying toward you with blue and purple energy licking off of him. He disappears. You see a lithe form, perhaps a woman in a fiery cape, flitter and dip and dive by the front of this castle. She disappears. And you see this sea of soldiers as one by one their faces cease in being unique and instead morph into a Joseph Dietrich that you know better. And as they all turn into this young version of a Dietrich, you hear a clap come from the tree line. And about 200 yards away, a young man, maybe just a few years older than you, Mimi, walks out. He is blonde of hair, handsome, wearing a loose button-down shirt, no tie, seems to have a scarf wrapped around his neck as he laughs and looks up at the top of the tower. At the top, Dietrich stares at Barney now and at the gun. When did you lose Aphrodite?
We lost her in the asylum, in whatever that place was. Under the sea. Dietrich, right now, tell us exactly what is going on here. I'm through being in the dark.
She went through everything for nothing. She went through it all for nothing. You see tears begin to fall from Dietrich Prime's eyes. We are undone. And with the clapping, he turns and looks over the side of the tower.
Can we see the figure there? You said it is a blonde-haired man.
Yep.
How far away are we from the tree line?
About 200 yards, but you're also elevated.
Yeah. Dietrich, you're either going to be useful to us or you're not. If you're useful, that's the only reason you're alive right now.
None of us are going to be alive much longer.
God damn it, Dietrich, stop speaking in riddles and answer my question. What is happening?
What do you remember, Barney? Huh? That boy down there is Simon Meadham. And he has come to kill us all.
Meadham, trying to open a portal, bring through beings from other worlds to our world. Is the portal open?
We cannot stop him. We needed Aphrodite. That is why Mimi did what she did all those years ago. For nothing.
I'm very confused.
Prime turns and looks at you for the first time and really sees you. And his composure completely drops as tears fall freely from his eyes.
Can someone please tell me what's going on?
There isn't a lot of time, Mimi, but you have traveled through time somehow. I don't know what you know or what you remember of us, but we've been fighting off and on cosmic forces for years. And right now, that man there, and he points at Simon Meadham, grown up, blonde. Him and his allies are trying to open a portal and bring through destructive force to this world. Now, Joseph might think that we can't stop him, but I think we can. Dietrich, what weaknesses does he have?
Aphrodite. You all hear from 200 yards away a voice somehow carried on the wind up to you all. This is very exciting!
Well, why don't we just go talk to him?
You cannot leave the castle. I may be able to hold him off here, but I know what he will do. Do not let him draw you out.
What is that he'll do, exactly?
We are the only ones that could have stopped him. Us and the others. He planned it. He planned it all. I sure did, Joe!
Well, listen. A voice told me to come through a weird ritual thing and said I was going to save Pete, so I'll go talk to him. I'm not afraid.
He will kill you. We will not allow this to happen.
I'm an adult. I can make my own decisions.
Of course. Decisions. He stops and looks directly at you, Mimi. I am sorry. I am so sorry.
For what?
For it all.
Don't worry about it too hard. And she turns to Barney and extends the tablet that she's holding. Hold on to that.
Barney will take it, but his eyes will meet Mimi's. Mimi, I don't think this is a good idea.
Well, of course not. That's why I'm doing it.
He's not stopping you if you want to leave.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go.
As you make your way down from the tower, is anybody going with Mimi?
Pete is still has Maxine Schmidt on his arm, correct? And she's still kind of incapacitated.
Yeah, for her, it's only been 5 minutes since she's almost been murdered. She's very wounded. She's stable, but she's unconscious, for all lack of a better description.
Okay. When Mimi attempts to walk past, Pete would put his hand out in an attempt to kind of grab her hand or her arm as a kind of just like a stop. And you said you went for me. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Well, definitely don't want to lose any votes, my dear. So if you would have it, I would accompany you. consider us even.
Well, I guess I can't stop you, but it might go poorly.
However, somebody should probably keep an eye on Maxine Schmidt as well.
Several people that look identical, except for perhaps various length of hair or manner of dress, um, come up and take Maxine Schmidt from you, presumably for medical care.
Mimi, Pete, I'm staying, but I have your back. I'll have my eye on you. And if he tries anything, we'll be ready.
All right. Take care of each other. We'll be back.
Within moments, you are able to get down through the small castle and to a front door, a large portal inset with like a personnel door. Affixed to the side was the manner of the day in which this place was built. There, at this point of perhaps weakest of the defenses, you see a bald man that looks just like Joe and a Joe with very long hair and a long beard as they stand, and for a moment they look up and their eyes kind of look towards the tower, and in response to a voice that only they can hear, they open the door and allow Mimi and Honest Pete Abraham to leave.
Walking out to meet Simon.
As you walk out towards him, you see that Simon kind of puts his arms up on both sides and immediately takes the arms and puts the hands in his pockets as he starts striding across the 200 yards to meet you halfway. This is really exciting.
So it was Simon.
That's right. Yes, it's Simon. Very
All
nice
right,
to meet you.
I'm Mimi.
Oh, I know.
All right, so what do you want?
Well, there's good news and bad news. The bad news is I'm here to kind of kill all of you all. The good news is, though, is that I plan to do it super duper fast.
All right, but why?
Well, I mean, it's really kind of wrong place, wrong time. We need to kind of wipe the floor here in this place. So we have a checklist. You guys are all on the checklist, and, you know, we have to be thorough. There's really not much you can do at this point, but any percent chance is a chance, so we kind of like to make sure that loose ends are snipped.
All right, you said we? Who's we?
Oh, the people I work with?
All right, who are they? If you're going to kill us, it doesn't really matter, right?
Well, see, I would probably tell any of the others, but I think it's fun that you don't know, and like you'll never know, and you'll die not knowing, and that's sort of delicious. So I'm not going to tell you.
Okay, that's fair. Well, is there anything that we can do? Change your mind, maybe? Make a deal?
Oh, no, not to change my mind. No. I mean, if you want, I'll kill all the Dietrichs if you'd like. I mean, they gotta go. And really, there's no real order to any of this. I mean, if I can, you guys take me about a half hour, I think, to wipe up with all of them. If you guys like want to have dinner or something like that. I mean, I'm not a monster. I mean, if you guys want to, just like don't leave my sight. But I mean, we could do that.
I don't know. I'm not really feeling it.
That's sort of the best that I can do. Hands are tied here. I mean, and you're cute and all, and I mean, personally, the last thing I want to do is have to do all this work right now. You know, I could be anywhere. I could be in Paris, I could be in Berlin, but I have to be right here doing this on some goddamn mountaintop because it needs to be done. And of course, when you need something done, you send the best. So I'm here, and I can give you a half hour while I kill the old man and all of his little sons or whatever the hell he's calling them now.
What do you think, Pete?
It's funny that we should segue over to Pete at this moment, as Pete, as you were stepping and following Mimi across this expanse, you started seeing visions of a townhouse of May and Barney and Joe, young, but not in the way that you remember. And you saw Aphrodite, Mimi as she would become. And you saw a man in a being in leather wraps with something in its stomach, something that you killed. Wait. Mimi, you hear a thump behind you, and you see Simon's eyes go wide. Hey, I think your friend's dying. And Honest Pete Abraham is thrashing on the ground, foam and spit coming out of his mouth as his body arcs and bends to the will of two woefully divergent timelines.
Mimi drops down to his side, tries to support his head.
Roll me a strength check.
But I'm not that strong.
First off, you're pretty strong. And secondly, yeah, you just, much like Barney tried to cradle the head of Pete back in 1915, he pulls from your grasp. And Simon walks up, his hands still in his pockets as he looks down and goes, damn, he looks like a fish, don't he? I mean, he's getting some height on some of those bends. How long
Simon, could you please just shut up?
I've got plenty to do. Just you guys, I don't know, die here or whatever you're going to do.
Go take a
just,
nap or something.
Don't take naps anymore, but okay. So as he turns and walks away, both in 1915 and in 1933, May and Barney would see Aphrodite stand perfectly still. May and Barney from the tower, you would see Mimi as she is trying to get a hold of Pete, and she just, her back becomes rigid as she stands perfectly still 200 yards away from the castle.
So Barney's probably set up at the edge of the tower. He's got his elephant rifle scope out. He's got his lighter and his cigarettes out. He's been watching this. We're too far to hear, though, right? I mean, it's like windy. We didn't hear their conversation.
Strangely enough, you heard it all.
What's Dietrich been doing in the span of a couple of minutes?
You see that he's been pacing back and forth as he has his hand to the side of his head, and you hear movement almost as if a response to whatever it is that he is projecting is being implemented in the floors below you.
Barney would call over to Dietrich and he would say, "Is it now? Are they opening the portal now?"
No. That is not here. They are going to do that elsewhere.
Then it's not too late. And before that kid goes back into the tree line, I want to take a shot at him.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's take a shot at him. Okay, so as the elephant gun barks, sending its huge round, the 100 yards that goes across the space, um, Simon Meadham takes the shot in the small of the back, enough to make him bend very much the same way that Honest Pete Abraham had bent. And as he bends, the young man goes forward and he stops and shakes his head. Wow! He gets up and you see him rubbing at the small of his back as he looks up. And though, Mimi, you can't hear this, he turns towards you and says, "Yeah, I'm going to have to kill everybody right now. Ow, damn it." And we're going to cut away from 1933. We're going to cut away from 1915. And we are going to find ourselves in the ballroom of the Plaza Hotel in New York City. The gubernatorial election is over, and the 99th mayor of New York City, Honest Pete Abraham, has won. Pete, you are surrounded by your constituents, by your friends, by your benefactors and your contributors. The people that put you in power are now the people upon whom you serve. You are the mayor of the world's greatest city. Do you have a few words?
Always. So he would, there must be a podium.
There is one, and because your campaign manager knows you so well, it is a podium in the round, as it is just a raised dais in the very center of the ballroom.
Perfect. So Pete would take it and would grandstanding all the way, waving, pointing. It is celebration. And so, friends, voters, and financiers, we did it, Mayor, and we will make New York City great again. But in all fairness, I would be amiss if I didn't mention my most important vote that was obtained. The woman who made an honest man of Honest Pete Abraham, who is the reason I entered politics. Ladies and gentlemen, your first lady of New York City and my own Georgia Peach, Mimi Abraham. And I
Mimi,
would gesture.
To a roar of applause, Mimi Abraham steps onto the dance floor, parting from the crowd. Summer, what does Mimi Abraham look like?
She looks to be about 31, 32. Her hair is done up really elegantly, and she's wearing a black floor-length gown. She looks really happy.
And as Mimi Abraham takes to the floor of the Plaza Hotel in New York City in November of 1933, the band begins to play as glasses are raised in cheers for the mayor and first lady of New York City. The floor is cleared of podium and dais, of contributor and campaigner alike. And much as it will be for the remainder of his term, the floor is the mayor's. And more importantly, it is Mimi's. The band begins to play. The crowd asks you for a dance.
Pete would walk up to Mimi and would first, as he has done on the trail, would lean in so that she may first adjust his tie.
She does.
At which point he would bow and extend a hand.
She takes it and moves closer for the dance.
And so we would give the folks a show.
And you do, as you spin and twirl upon the boards of the Plaza Hotel's beautiful parquet ballroom. You go and sweep from side to side, making even Jay Gatsby, would he a real person, weep with the thought of your finery. And as you come to a rest and the end of your dance begins, and the dance of you as the mayor, you are surrounded again by your friends as they too take towards the floor and begin to circle and weave to the music, to the victory, to the night of hope. And for a moment, the two of you have each other in a pocket of Mimi and Pete.
I'm real proud of you.
It was us, my dear. We did this.
I can only take a little bit of the credit. It was mostly you and your charm.
Well, I thank you, my dear, but if you hadn't kept me straight, we know my affinity for the drink. Or the one that used to be.
Got
It's
a
at
long
this-
road ahead of us.
It's at this moment that a wine glass falls and smashes on the floor right beside you, causing a few gasps from the dancers. But quickly, a waiter appears out of nowhere and begins to sweep up the glass onto his tray. And as he moves closer to the feet of the mayor and first lady of New York, he looks up, revealing a face of Southeast Asian descent. I don't have much time. This is the only place they wouldn't look. You gotta send Aphrodite back. And he looks at Mimi, and he looks at Pete. She can't be in 15. And you see him start to cry. You gotta send Ruby's body back too. It's not supposed to be there either. Constantinople. It's the key. There's something there that they don't have in 33. It's gone by then. And you see the door burst open and several New York City policemen run in. Do you understand? Pete, Mimi, do you understand?
Yes.
If you see Ruby, tell her I love her. And he stands up and he pulls a gun out of the inside of the waiter's outfit. And you both bear witness to the death of the boy known as Bali. And back in 1933, Prime turns toward you, Barney. Everything she went through was meaningless. She's the key. But you see that? And his eyes are fixated on Pete as he writhes in seizure. It's the two of them. They're tied to the other place. We have to bring her through. I don't know, Barney! And with that, Pete on the floor of the Stagliani house. As the peace comes through you, your eyes flutter open. Aphrodite, your eyes flutter open, and you remember the words of a boy that died on the floor of the Plaza Hotel.
I have to go back.
Pete would just turn and look, probably square in the eyes of Mimi, and would just nod. Yes, you have to go back.
I don't know how to get there.
I would like Barney to roll an occult roll for me, please. You remember how it was set up, how the arms were crossed, the two people. You don't think you could replicate the magic, but the symbol, you remember that.
We're in a, it's sort of like a funeral home, right? The house
It's
of
actually-
Pilate.
It's the house. Yeah, it's the Stagliani home, and he is laid at rest, but it is indeed the house of Pilate.
Mimi, Aphrodite, Pete, I don't know what's happening right now, but if you need to go back, if you need to do whatever it is that brought you here, well, I'm not much of a sorcerer, but I might be able to recreate that ritual or part of that ritual that brought you here to begin with, but I'll need your help.
All right. We need Ruby's body too.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know. We have to take it back. I do.
Okay. There were two bodies before Greg, correct? In the snow?
Correct, yep.
Well, I think that we're going to need two bodies to recreate the effect of the ritual. Is Maria still screaming Stagliani, or is she split?
We have an advantage given to us by Twilight. It is for either Pete or Mimi, whoever should need it. So that is one to be shared by the two of you, the Mayor and First Lady. As you turn and look at the now widowed Mrs. Stagliani, or the orphaned Mrs. Stagliani, she turns and she's listening to everything that you're saying. Well, you believe in her heavily accented Italian. You believe.
I believe that there's some great big things happening right now that are bigger than me. And I'm sorry about this mess here. But if you care about your life and making it through this hell that's coming, because make no mistake, these men that we mentioned before, they will come for you. Then I need you to keep your father here while we go get my daughter.
Yes. Yes. And she goes over, and you see her place her hand on a section of the wall behind her father's desk. It gives, and a small spring pops out, and you see her withdraw a stone tablet from the wall inside. As she brings it over and lays it on the desk atop the papers of Mr. Stagliani's work. And she goes back in and pulls out what looks like a copper bowl, and she sets it on top of it. My name is not Stagliani. It is Pilot. And I can help you.
Does this tablet look familiar to me?
Super duper.
Oh, cool. I'm gonna move closer to look at it to see if it's the exact same one, or...
It's the exact same one, but it also contains information that the other cracked tablet does not contain. It is a recounting of a ritual that Pilate and Jesus of Nazareth performed 1,915 years ago. Or actually, plus 33.
Well, that's a real fancy secret passage you got there. You said Pilate, like you're related to Pontius Pilate?
House of Pilate. I saw a few carvings and such. Are we really doing a ritual right now?
I got here through a ritual.
Right.
I have to go back.
Pete
Well,
would. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was gonna say, Pete would do his best to kind of explain what he remembers from the Plaza Hotel.
You're able to kind of whisper out all the information to everyone. You are still in a tremendous amount of pain, though.
None of this makes sense to me, but if you say you got to go back, you've helped us so far. I'll do what I can. If I send Ruby back with you, there's something you can do. If you can warn her, if you see her, tell her not to come back here.
I'll tell her, but I don't think she'd listen to me.
Well, I want you to promise me that you'll convince her.
She came back to save us. To stop me.
All she did was die. She didn't save anybody.
She lived a good life.
Well, that's my deal, Aphrodite. You gotta at least try.
I'll try.
Joe, will you help me? Barney will basically lay out his plan. His plan would be to go back to the train, get Ruby's body, get the folks who work there to kind of make it legitimate, so they're not like hauling a dead body through the streets of Milan, and bring it back to the House of Pilate.
It takes you about an hour, but with Joe's help for the physical aspects of it, and for your pool with the crew of the train of the Orient Express, you're able to basically get a carriage that is covered that allows you to bring it back through to the House of Pilate. It takes about an hour, and I'm going to need Pete to roll a d10.
Is it D10?
D10, yes, please. Okay, so the pain that's racking your body takes away 9 health from your frame as you can feel yourself coming undone. Something's not right, Pete. It's not getting better. It's getting worse. Aphrodite, I need you to roll a d10. You lose 6 HP as, again, much like Pete, you do not belong here. Pete can see you aren't supposed to be here. You two are anomalies, and whatever forces are at work to keep this place separate from the other are making sure you're not going to be here much longer. Barney, you and Joe rush back in, and you see at that point that Maria has all of these implements out, and May, during the time that they were gone, if you so choose, you can look at the tablet because you were the one that discovered it first, way back at the beginning of this season. You don't have to make a skill check here to understand what you're reading. But if you would make a straight intelligence check, I will allow you to glean what you believe to be fiction from this tablet.
Let's use a crit on that.
With a crit, as the rest of the world falls to madness, May, as you, a person of the gear and the wrench and technology, you care little for these acts of religion or fanaticism, mystical arts. It's all bullshit. But when you read this tablet, what seems to be an entry directly from the hand of one Pontius Pilate, it indicates how the body of Jesus Christ, Jesus of Nazareth, was prepared for the crucifixion. But they do not call it the crucifixion in this tablet that you now read. It is called the transference. And you see that there are several steps that one must undertake to complete this preparation. You know what they are. Whether you believe them is up to you.
So May this entire time has just been kind of sitting at the side of the desk and just reading through everything. And her mind is trying to fit this idea that magic or the supernatural may be an actual thing. And that, well, shit, looks like she's gonna have to buy into it for whatever the heck her team is doing right now. And she's just taking note of all the steps.
So, in the hour that it takes Joe and Barney to come back, in the hour in which Pete and Aphrodite start to waste away, May furiously scribbles notes on whatever pieces of paper that she can find. Maria Stagliani watches and does not correct, as May can read a blueprint. And you have the steps you believe to perform whatever the hell this is, as Barney and Joe walk through the door with the body of Ruby.
There's no time to waste.
All right. Well, I think the first thing we want to do is, and Barney's, he's going based off of his knowledge which is still in 1915, pretty new. He's still new to rituals and spells. We want to recreate the shape, the physical shape of the bodies. Maria, I hope you don't mind me asking, may we use your father's body for this?
She rushes towards the table upon which it lays and throws her father's body to the floor. This is all he ever believed in. Of course.
Well, okay then. Barney will lay out Ruby's body, and for a moment before he starts trying to recreate the shape with the two, Ruby and Mr. Stagliani's corpses, he'll plant a small kiss on the dead girl or old woman's forehead and say into her ear, I don't know if you can hear me wherever you are. I don't know if there's an afterlife. I don't know you. Not yet. But I can't wait to meet you. And then he'll do his best to recreate the shape of the ritual that he saw in the snow.
And because of what you had rolled before and what you remembered now, you are able to get it right. And you are able to place them in an approximation of what you believe to be the exact configuration of that which was found in the snow. And as you are furiously working to do all of this, we flash to 1933. Everybody in the castle walls, as Mimi and Pete remain either frozen or in seizure. You see Simon as he picks himself up off the ground. He turns and looks up, his hair whipping in the wind, as is Dietrich's. Dietrich turns back to Barney and May. They're coming. And you see a purple-blue glow begin to dance over the frame of Joseph Dietrich. Also from the forest line, you see wave after wave of a young Joseph Dietrich emerge and march towards the castle.
Doing?
What's that?
What are you doing?
I'm not doing anything. These are not under my control.
They're mediums.
They are. And at this point, Joe turns as you see the march, slow and methodical behind you. The first shots begin from inside the castle as whatever defense has been erected begins to take effect. And Dietrich turns and looks at both May and Barney. I had to make a choice. In 18, it was a poor one, it would seem. It was just us. It was just me and Mimi. We were in Jerusalem. I did not have any power then. Not like you. Your brain, May. Your sorcery, Barney. But it all paled in comparison to Mimi. She had emotion. She had the power of hate and love. We had to make a choice. Who would become a being capable of defeating this? It couldn't have been me. I was not special. Not then. I let it take her. I heard her screams. But I knew she would. It was the only chance. And again, the marching of these army of Dietrichs continues as the battle is joined. I found a power. It allowed me to make shards of myself. I figured if I could not have the power, I would learn it, like you, Bonnie. I would learn it over 1,000 lifetimes. Lived it once. And I would prepare myself for this day. I worked to get those like you together. I thought you were dead, May. I thought you were dead, Bonnie. And I got to see as a group. And they did not trust me. I failed. I failed everything. I walked right into his trap. And I damned Mimi. For nothing.
It's not nothing. Yet. Justin is taking everything right now to not suck you. Right in the face. But we are here. Right now. It's not over yet.
Can they die?
Yes. They can die. But there are so many of them. I cannot control them, but I can kill them. I have 200 here. But you must get Pete and Mimi before they do. If we are to fight. If you believe we can win, I will fight with you both.
Speaking of Pete and Mimi, did Dietrichs bring them into the castle? Are they still like convulsing outside in the snow?
They're still 100 yards away from the front door with an approaching army.
Ah, jeez. Barney will grab May's hand if she'll take it. We got to get them inside. And then we fight. There's a power. It's bigger than Meadham. It's bigger than that army of you down there, whatever Caduceus is, whatever they're planning.
Yeah. Maybe this will be one last one.
We'll get them inside. Dietrich, if we survive this, you're going to answer all of my questions, and then we'll see what kind of justice you get.
I deserve none.
Oh,
But I will buy you as much time as I can, Bonnie. And he turns towards May. Of all of the shards of me, all of the fragments, both them, and he points to the line of Nazis, and the ones beneath me, the ones that are my sons, every one of them loves you. And he takes off into the air as blue energy ripples all over him, and he leaves the castle and advances towards the line. Dietrich Prime is buying you time.
You okay, May?
I will be. Let's go get our friends.
Yeah. Let's go get them. You'll head off into the snow to try to get the bodies inside, at least, behind walls where they'll be safer.
When you get down to the front door, as there is massive moments of just a general defense as people are running here and there, you see a bald Dietrich and a long-haired Dietrich with a beard by the door that Mimi and Pete walked out of, and they are both armed, and the bald one turns and sees you coming as if he knew you were coming, because he did. And he opens the door as a couple shots, kind of errant shots, fly in, and he smiles, and he looks at two of you and he says, "Ha! It's Strike Up's band." And he goes out and starts shooting as the Dietrich with the long hair comes out and fires a couple shots, and they seem to be coming with you.
Okay. So about this battle, is it overwhelming odds? I mean, is the army approaching much larger in appearance than the 200 men Dietrich Kahn spoke about?
Yeah, they number in the thousands that seem to be coming out of the woods.
Barney will bark over at bald Dietrich. I need a minute. 1 minute. Can you give me that? Can you cover me for 1 minute?
Yeah, 1 minute. And he turns and looks at his brother with the beard, and he flips over an oddly shaped, you would know it to be a grenade. It looks almost like a half coffee can with a stick coming out of it. And they both, in perfect unison, pull it and throw it an obscene distance. You see about like 150 yards in the air, something that would make John Elway weep, as it flies and hits the line, and you hear explosions as the two of them split off and begin drawing a crazy amount of enemy fire. What's May doing?
How far out have we gotten?
You were able to make it out about 25, 30 yards, so you've got about another 70 yards to go to get to them.
So as this distraction happened, May turns to my... Dear, what are you doing?
As they're moving, Barney keeps hold tighter and tighter on May's hand, and he says, we got to get them inside, but this ain't a fight that we can win without calling on extra help. I'm gonna do something really stupid, May, and really dangerous, but I'm doing it for you and for Pete and for Mimi, because I know she's still in there, in that thing calling itself Aphrodite. She's in there. I've seen her. And I'm doing it for all of us.
And she just leans up and just grabs him and kisses him.
And
They never change.
he kisses her back and says, well, I tried, but it didn't look too good on me.
You're coming back.
I absolutely plan to.
taps him on the chest and takes off running towards Pete and Mimi.
So, May, as you are sprinting across the field towards Pete and Mimi, bullets begin to rain beside you, but you realize that none of them are aiming at you. For even on the other side of the line, no Dietrich can bring himself to level violence at May. Barney, I'm assuming you're beginning your ritual?
He is, yeah. He kneels down in the snow with.
As you kneel down and begin to say the words, let's cut back to 1915. As in 1915, Barney, a much younger, much more innocent version of himself, sees the words written by perhaps his future wife and knows that they must be said as well. I need a D10 rolled from Aphrodite and a D10 rolled from Honest Pete Abraham. Please take that HP off as sweat covers your bodies. They are betraying you. They are coming undone. You do not have much time. Barney, as you and May pour over and May finishes her notes, May, you are able to tell the following of this 3-step process to Barney. To prepare the Christ to be transported through the sepulchre, the veil of energy between the dimensions, you must draw the blood of the traveler. They must be praised in a coronation, and you must wash your hands in the bowl.
First step is to draw the blood of a traveler.
Oh. Well, yeah, I thank you for deciphering all of that.
Yeah.
Traveler, do you think,
It's probably
you know,
the one who has traveled, yes.
okay, all right. And then what was next?
Coronation.
Okay. And then that final step, you said washing.
Hands in the copper bowl. And she like leans over and picks up the one that had been set out by Maria.
Well, Aphrodite, are you ready? Are you ready to go back to where you came from?
Yes, I'm ready.
Well, I'm going to need some of your blood to start with. And he'll kind of go through checking with May as need be to make sure all the steps are just right, and start the ritual.
For the first step, I'd like you to make an occult roll.
Okay.
Because of your extreme success, you do not have to roll one for the second step. As Barney, this feels true. You perhaps have not felt as sure of yourself since you walked the boards of your last ship. You're where you belong.
I think there's something inherent in Barney that understands magic at a core level, and it's an instinct for him. And so once he gets going and through that initial anxiety and uncertainty, it's like his hands are moving with perfect motions, almost as though he's done this ritual before, as he lets the blood, and he has everyone gather around for the praising and the coronating of the traveler.
There is one thing missing from the coronation ceremony, something that Barney cannot provide. Would either May or Pete like to contribute here?
So I'm just trying to think through May's mindset right now. Cause, oh boy. Yeah. I guess May will step up.
And how will you offer title and praise to Aphrodite?
Somebody don't give me the look. May kind of shakes out her head a bit. Aphrodite, you didn't need to come back. You didn't need to go through this experience again, but you did to save someone. And you did much more than that in helping the team. You literally held a train together. I wish you the best on whatever you do. I suppose if you see, I'll see you again in the future.
Roll a power check for me, May.
Oh.
And Pete, how would you like to offer praise to the woman in front of you?
I'm gonna use a crit.
And just to clarify again, the Plaza Hotel, that is still a vision within Pete's mind, correct?
It's not just a vision, it feels like it happened.
Okay. So Pete would walk up and actually kind of put his hands on Mimi's shoulders and then do like a slide down so that he would be holding her hands. I can't quite explain it, Mimi, but apparently we were a pretty good team. It would seem you got me elected mayor of New York City. And you straightened my ties. And we waltzed on a ballroom. And you were, happily, Mrs. Abraham. And Pete would lean in and would give her a kiss.
And
Go
Aphrodite, yeah, Aphrodite, you too remember everything that happened in the Plaza Hotel. I'll check the donation.
I think she just smiles a bit sadly at all of them, but she doesn't say anything.
Crits for everybody from Prax.
Oh, thank you.
And now, as Barney, with that extreme, you feel something engage. And just as I was about ready to ask both Aphrodite and Pete to roll another d10, I will not, as there is but one thing left to do. There is a bowl, and as you turn to look at the copper bowl of Pontius Pilate, you see his ancestor or his descendant pouring water into the bowl and looking at you. As we cut back to 1933, May, you are running across a battlefield, one that seems to not have any lead designed for your life. You see your friends Mimi and Pete ahead of you, and as you charge, you slide and reach them both just as Mimi sort of pitches into the snow, and you are able to catch her. You have them. How do you get them back?
God, I'm just gonna start trying to drag them back. And all the meanwhile, well, when she first catches me, she's like, I'm not leaving you behind again.
So you're going to try to drag them both through the snow?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to need a strength check from you as you begin to drag these two bodies away from the advancing army of the Dietrichs, who are now maybe 30, 40 yards away from your position.
Yeah, fuck it, Craig. I'm just gonna use the crit again. I am getting my friends fucking out of here.
Roger that. And so as you reach down and grab both of the collars of your friends, even some of the energy of your glove sort of fires off a bit as you begin to pull them, as the Olympian known as Hephaestus is retrieving Aphrodite and Dionysus from the field. And just at that time, the Olympian known as Poseidon finishes his call. The floor is yours, Don.
Barney is kneeled down in the snow and sat back on his haunches. He looks peaceful as he goes through this motion and pulls out a cigarette and his engraved lighter. Even though it's windy and snowing and whipping around him, when he lights the lighter, a flickering blue-green seafoam flame dances up, and it crashes against the cigarette, and it sparks. And he places it between his lips and closes his eyes, and he says in his mind, Cthulhu, we made a deal. And it's time for you to come through. Portal's not open yet. But we gotta survive this battle first. So I'm calling on the power you gave me. And he begins speaking in a foreign tongue, a tongue that he doesn't even really understand. He just knows in his gut. And he says, Glor Mukavar Satraps Fatagan. Ryuka Satraps Fatagan. Satraps awaken.
May, as you are dragging Aphrodite, or you're dragging Mimi and Pete through the snow, even though it's only about an inch, it starts to become almost as if it's melting. And you're walking through soggy earth, and then an inch of water, 2 inches of water. And as you pull and splash, it splashes up and hits your mouth a bit as you taste the salt water that you are now sloshing through. 3 inches, 4 inches. Soon you are mid-calf and you are sloshing through, and the two that you are dragging are now lighter as the buoyancy of the waters lifting them above. And everyone in the field, all of the Dietrichs, stop as an ocean arrives on this mountaintop, crawling from their feet to their ankles, to their calves, to their knees, to their thighs. And the water begins to bubble. Large bubbles rise, drift 2 and 3 feet into the air, and pop in a spray as all of the Dietrichs turn. And far back in the line, on the shoulders of one of the Dietrichs, Simon Meadham's eyes grow wide, and he begins to run. A long tentacle splashes out of the middle of the water. Another. They grab Dietrichs and begin to slam them together. They crawl out, and a large geometric figure, a fleshy triangle, pops up from the water, an unblinking eye staring at these foes. Tentacles arrive, grab, rend, and the Dietrichs scream as one. And Barney, in your mind you hear, "I will always come for you, the one who dreamt with me." As we cut back to 1915. Pete, as your lips pull away from Aphrodite's, and she looks sadly at the two of you, or at the rest of you, the bowl is all that awaits.
May, he kind of leans over. Which one of us is supposed to wash our hands in the bowl?
Do I have any idea, Greg?
Let's make an idea check to see.
Oh, God damn it, okay. Yeah.
You're pretty sure it's supposed to be Barney. Whoever drew the blood is the one that washes the hands.
Yeah, I think it's you.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I still have some blood, some of her blood on my hands. So
Yeah, that's okay.
Rubbing his hands together, he moves away from the circle. But one last time, he looks at Aphrodite and he says, "I wish you luck where you're going. Just remember your promise to me, okay?"
I will.
Thank you. Well, all right. And he turns to the bowl, nods his head towards Maria, and then begins to wash his hands, trying to get the blood off of his hands and into the bowl.
And as the drop of blood smeared across your flesh enters the holy water of the bowl, the ritual is completed, and Aphrodite disappears. Pete, you fall unconscious. Aphrodite,
Okay.
Mimi, you fall unconscious. May, Barney, you fall unconscious. But May and Barney, you awaken in a space that is gray. And before you stands a young woman of 27. And in this moment, Barney and May, you know everything that your versions in 1933 know, and everything your versions in 1915 know. And before you, you see Ruby at an age that she has not yet reached, at an age and a face that you could never forget. And something triggers in your mind. This woman of 27. You see her standing beside you in Paris, at a train station, aboard the Orient, taking a picture with Mimi and with Pete and with Joe. You see her fighting beside you in the years in the late teens. You see this woman now who you had forgotten. You know her as Ruby, but Hephaestus, Poseidon, you now remember her true name. What is it?
I May. You have a good name in your pocket?
The Missing Olympian.
The missing name. That was hinted at before with Artemis.
And so too does Artemis stand before you.
Oh my god.
She rushes up and hugs you both. And you feel her strong muscled arms squeeze almost painfully against your necks. And she pulls away, tears upon her cheeks. And as she pulls away, revealing what is behind her, you see several individuals. You see Aphrodite standing beside Mimi. You see a Pete standing beside a young Pete. Barney, you see yourself as an old man, and yourself much younger. And May, you see one innocent to the ways of this occult eldritch horror, and one that married a sorcerer. All of your versions from 1915 and 1933 stand before you. And as Ruby pulls back, she says, "You have to make a choice now." You tore open the veil. I knew you could. But I can't help you. You must pick who goes. Which of you goes to 15 and to 33? It's gotta be your decision. Who stays and who goes will determine whether or not we win. Mom, Dad, who's it gonna be? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where we end this season of Project Cronus. My internet didn't fuck up. Alrighty, everybody. Let's go around in reverse order and start with our Aphrodite. Summer, how are you doing? And where can we find you online? And are you ready for season 2? Please say yes.
Yes, I am ready for season 2. Holy hell. I have a lot of feelings happening right now. Yeah, wow. Oh my God. Okay. I got to get it together, guys. Why did I have to go first? That was insane. What's happening? Okay. Hi, I'm Summer. You can find me on the internet places at Just a Summer Job on Twitter and I stream and things. Just follow me on Twitter. I'm gonna take a very long nap after this. I'm dead. Okay, go to somebody else. I don't want to talk anymore.
Absolutely. Or Whiskin, and then say yes, absolutely, great. Let's go right across to Kiana. Kiana, how are you doing? Where can we find you online? And are you ready for season 2? Please say yes.
Greg, you motherfucking maestro. Jesus Christ.
I was ready for either way that was going.
You're a son of a bitch, but I love you. God, I'm glad I didn't have any expectations set for this, because there was no way I could have predicted any of this. Going back from 1915, 1933, uncovering the secrets of the tablet, discovering the secret Olympian, basically almost sobbing several times. There are a lot of feelings, but I am very glad to experience them with this crew now and for season 2. So yes, Greg, I am ready for whenever season 2 happens. But until we convene for season 2, you guys can find me over on Twitter at KennaS. Best way to figure out what I am doing, because I am over the internet playing role-playing games almost every day of the week. But I will be here decompressing and waiting on the edge of my seat for the beginning of the next season.
Fantastic. And we will jump down and let's see, we'll just go to the mayor of New York City. Mr. Mayor, how are you? And are you ready for next season? Please say yes.
Terrified. Wow, Greg. Wow. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, just amazing. That's the best I can do. Follow everybody. I'm at Flathagen. I had a great time. And, as far as season 2, politicians never like to squarely answer the question. So I'm going to take some time. I'm going to review things with my family. We'll do some polling, and we'll see if the people want honest Pete. So we'll get back to you. But yes.
Absolutely. Sounds good. I don't want to hold you to anything. Absolutely. Let's go over to Don. Don, how are you doing, buddy? How'd you like the finale? And are you ready for season 2? Please say yes.
Yes, I am. I'm super ready. I love the finale. Like Kiana said, I had like some loose expectations of things that might happen. None of those things happen. Instead, a whole bunch of other incredible things occurred. I loved the New York City ballroom scene with Mimi and Pete. I loved that scene. I thought this episode was the best bouncing back and forth we've done. It was really energetic and fun. I had a really good time, and I love playing with these people. I can't wait for season 2. And also, I got to kill a lot of Dietrichs. So that is check mark. Success on that. There's still more Dietrichs out there, probably. There is always more out there. But this is a step in the right direction. You can follow me on Twitter at Donathan Fry. I play other games. I can't wait for season 2. I'm be running a game on Greg's channel next season. May Black Roses Bloom. I'm incredibly excited about it. It's dark fantasy D&D. It's got a great cast, and Kiana's in it. And I can't wait for this to return and for that to happen. That's all I have. I'm gonna go take a nap too.
Naps all around, everybody.
No, drinks over here.
Drinks, right? Nappy time or drinky time. I am good with either, as I am old enough to appreciate both. Guys, I wanted to take this moment to thank this incredible cast who has ridden with me in all of these crazy shenanigans and absolutely puts just a metric ton of emotion and passion into these characters. They have created and given them life. I could not be, as condescending as it sounds, I am so proud of these characters and how amazing they are. It is just the best to sit back and have a front row seat to watch these creators create stuff, and it is absolutely fantastic. And my second round of applause and thanks for this season goes to our fantastic community in chat who has always been there, whether it be live on Twitch, on the VODs, or in the YouTube videos. Absolutely love the comments. I have historians that are contacting me about things that they approve of in this show, which is just the best. And it's I just really appreciate so much the comments that are given and the love that is shown for the show and for these fantastic players. Anywho, I'm going to be busy in the laboratory with my buddy Conti as we come up with a couple things for next season. And until then, for this channel, you can enjoy the following. We're going to try to fill in some one-shots here and there, hopefully play a little bit of other systems. Every Friday for the next month from 12 to between 2 and 3 Eastern, we have a Outbreak Undead system based off of the Outbreak Undead system shown on Frontier by Ivan Van Norman. We have 18 players going through the zombie apocalypse to see if they survive. And then tomorrow night, Sunday, 7 to 9, you will see the season finale of Project Athena. And I can tell you that events of this finale, so too will shape that one. As it is the same world, we are all Olympians. God's on high, everybody. And speaking of being on high, I am going to leave here and take a nap. But before that... Before that, I want to say again, thanks to everyone. We will see you next season. Follow on Twitter. Follow here for notifications for going live if you hadn't. If you're on YouTube, hit a like. We really appreciate it. But until next season, everybody, take care of yourselves in 2018. We'll be waiting here for you in 15 or 13. You take your pick. I know Barney and May will. See you later.